friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Happy Whole You podcast. Today, I have Moss Mike with me, who is the founder of vibrovision. And his story is very interesting. With over 30 years experience as a martial artist, Moss Mike has trained police, military, security professionals, and he holds two third-degree black belts and a second-degree black belt, and ranks in 23 other martial arts. And he was an undefeated fighter for 6.5 years. But he has what is called the sixth sense that he teaches people. He's also been featured on Gaia's Superhuman documentary, which is really awesome. I watched that documentary. It's a really great one, so go check it out. He also has an institution where he is training people to enhance their ability with this sixth sense. So he's going to share his story with you, and I'm excited that you're going to be able to hear this episode and connect with him. And in the show notes, you can also click on his website. You can actually go and visit him and do training in person. So that is super cool and exciting. But anyways, here we go. All right, Mike, thank you for joining me on the Happy Whole You podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Anna Marie. I love the title. I mean, just the entire idea of happy and whole is is a relatively important thing to everybody, I think, in our lives. That so many of us are chasing things on the outside, trying to create happiness and wholeness, and yet, like 99.9% of the answers are on the inside. And I feel like I'm just so honored to be here, and hopefully, I can have fun like more than anybody else, and we'll discover some things together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we dive into your ancient technology and some of the amazing things that you've accomplished and that you're working on in your life, let's take the audience back a few decades. Who is Mike? Where did you come from? Why are you doing what you're doing today?
Well, that's a really long story, but I'll try to give you the really short version. My name is Mike Zeleznik. They call me Mas Mike. It's kind of like a teacher. Mas just means Mister in Indonesian, but it comes from a ancient martial art that was handed down in the royal family of Java, Indonesia. So they call me Mas Mike, and I I just go by Mike or Mas Mike, whatever you prefer. But I grew up in Utah, which not very many people are super familiar with, and growing up through the 80s and 90s, it was a very religious community that I grew up in a high mountain valley with very few people, and one of the small places that everybody knows when you trip and fall down, the rumors spread and whatnot. And I was constantly an outcast because my parents were from California and very liberal, and uh, I didn't really fit in. And so I started training in martial arts, but what I really wanted to do was actually help and heal people, because I came from a medical family, and all of my parents were nurses and first responders, and going back through all of my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, everybody was involved in healing people, and I could see that that was really the power. That was really the most beautiful gift that we could give to humanity, is turning frowns upside down, because pain really steals our life. And unfortunately, I had to defend myself and fight a lot, being in this small community, and I got really really good at it. I By the time I found this martial art, well, I've been a semi-professional tournament judge and competitor for about 9 years, and I traveled all over the U.S. doing all kinds of tournaments and judging things, and I'd seen a lot of crazy stuff. But what I really was attracted to, when I was like 5, I was really under the weather. I had chicken pox, and I was like super high fever. My mom back in those days had to rent a VHS VCR, and she rented these mid 80s B ninja movies. I don't know if you old enough to have seen those, but that wasn't the mouth dubbing, and they, jump off the building and throw the ninja star 100 yards and hit the guy in the eye. And it was like so cool, as I was like sitting here going, wow, look at this. And so I tried it, but it didn't go quite so well in my own home. I jumped off my horse barn. I had, horses and hay, and we grew up in the country. And anyway, it was a painful experience, and it left a really, really strong impression on me, that that mind over matter and control of our body and our minds and what I'd seen in the movies was not real. But I, had this feeling inside of me because I was constantly surrounded by all these people that were leaving impressions on me that my intuition I could feel when I walked into a room if somebody was upset with me or if somebody was having a bad day. I could know things without knowing exactly how I knew them. And I then, was looking at, well, these superpowers that these martial arts people and, Jedis and Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, and all the things had in these martial arts movies. And I'm constantly under attack. I better learn martial arts. And so I did that and I went really far down the path. And by the time I finished, I was an undefeated fighter for 6.5 years. I had two third-degree black belts and a second-degree black belt and like attained rank in 23 other arts up to brown belt. I was really searching, but what I was looking for was something totally different. Like when I was like 10 or 12, I saw a group of traveling Shaolin monks with the orange robes and the shaved heads, and
Yeah.
they came and demonstrated in our hometown. And they were doing amazing chi demonstrations, like what the things I was seeing in the movies were. And I was just like blown away with what these little old Chinese guys, they were like, 4 foot tall and so wrinkled.
Mhm.
They looked like they were sun-dried raisins and they were coming from the commercial, but they were in the orange robe and the shaved head. And I was like watching them do these things. And they were all, like using big football players that were huge dudes, and they would just barely touch them and send them flying across the room. And I was like, whoa, this is like Star Wars. That guy's like Luke Skywalker, but old. And then I saw something that really, really caught my attention because I was always interested in healing. And they had this lady come out on the stage and she was using a walker. She could barely make it. It took her like 5 minutes. And she laid down on the stage and this old monk like waved his hand over the top of her and she got up and walked away with no limp. And I was like, what? Because I had seen the incredible result of my family doing healing, and I saw that this guy didn't do anything that they were doing, but he had this amazing result. And so I that's what really got me started into the martial arts, and I chased that path for, about 9 years, but then got introduced to the parent organization, or I should say the full martial art that was passed down in the royal family of Indonesia. It's called Murpati Putti. That's a mouthful. We just call it MPE for short, but it means white dove, the symbol for peace and justice for all humanity. And when I saw what they were doing, they were literally like doing real life superpowers with their military. And I knew that, I trained already at that point a bunch of military people and police and security professionals. And I knew that they don't use things that don't work. And so when I saw this thing from the other side of the world that none of us knew about, and they were doing this and seeing without their eyes and breaking crazy amounts of like concrete and steel, and I'd never seen anything like it. And they were like happy. They weren't in the same space as where I had, been before, where I was kind of taught to use my anger and my rage. It None of that really resonated with me because I was looking to bring light and more love and healing into the world. And I did a bunch of it before, but it always hurt, and I didn't really like it. And then I found these people doing these amazing things, and there was a video that we got that was showing these people doing all of this stuff blindfolded. And we have a huge deaf and blind school here in our town. And so we introduced them to the Utah Schools for the Deaf and the Blind here in Ogden. And, we're saying, hey, if I could really make a difference in people's life and connect them into their spiritual side, this is like a whole different level of that. Because, if I could really make a difference and serve people, uh, well, if you were blind and you weren't able to see the things that so many of us take for everyday normal, our life would be really different. And I was afraid of the dark as a young guy, and I just thought about, I closed my eyes for a minute. I said, what if I could never open them again? And they literally were training blind people over in Indonesia how to do this and set themselves free. And so I had an opportunity to meet a blind gentleman who I asked him, we brought them over and introduced them to the deaf and blind school. And I asked him, what is this like for you? And he said, well, for 30 years living in Jakarta, I was completely dependent on my mom because it's a very dangerous place. And there's no help over there. Like there's no social programs or anything that you can do to try to navigate. You're like dependent and trapped. And after I learned vibrovision, I rode a bicycle through a crowd of 5,000 people and I found my mom and I took a Polaroid picture of her and I gave it to her and I said, "Thanks, mom, but I can do it myself now. I don't need help anymore and I'm free." And at this point, when I met him, he'd already opened a business and got married, started a family in this very, very dangerous place where there's no ADA compliance and no help whatsoever. Everything seems is like out to kill you. It's a wild place over there. And I knew in that moment, okay, coming from being in a upset and a very chaotic upbringing, I learned all the skills that I needed to survive in that. But what my real goal was to bring more light and love. And I found an incredible source of that, something that could literally change the world. And I could really change anybody's life, just one person's life, to bring them into a new reality of being able to see, feel, and know themselves and the world better. That I'm in. And so for the last 25 years, I've been literally bringing it from the East over into the West and doing all the scientific testing and medical validation and really trying to crack the gap between science and spirit and putting them together. And so that's kind of a long story. I hope it was short enough, but I come from just a normal everyday background, and I just had a strong feeling for trying to make the world better based on the circumstances that I grew up in, and I'm here to share something that I feel like everybody has this inclination. They can all feel things going on. That there's something sleeping inside of us that we don't know is there, and this is a way to wake it up and very fast time frame because we amplify the signal and basically boost our antenna. So
Yeah.
that that's kind of that's it.
Awesome. So, okay, so what were you when you said like you saw these monks and they had like these superpowers? What do you mean by superpowers? What did you see them doing or what did you witness that made you feel that they were something extraordinary?
Well, at that initial demonstration that got me hooked into looking for energy and trying to perceive more than my normal five senses. That was here at the local university, and they were a group of these traveling Shaolin monks that were so, amazing with their chi control. They basically were taking these big football players that, these guys were, like I said, like 4 feet tall, very, very small. And they were taking these huge football players that were like 250, 275 monster guys. And like one of them had a 10 of the football team members up there, and they all put their fists like this. They touched their fists side to side, stretched out in a line, so it was like 35 feet or something across the stage, and he touched the guy on the one end, and the other end of the line, that guy started flopping around like a fish, like he was getting electrocuted, and I was like, "What?" And then
The energy that got sent through all of them.
yeah, then he took the guy that was closest to him and he says, "Okay, you just stand strong." And, I know that I'd been to a few football games by that time. I knew these guys were powerful at hitting each other and standing strong. He just barely touched him on the chest. And this big guy went flying back like 10 feet, landed on his butt. He was like, left skid marks with his butt cheeks, and he was like fully laid out on the floor. And the older guy didn't even move. The monk just barely like, and
Yeah.
had this amazing result. But
That's
the thing that really hooked me was the healing because I knew that was you know, something that everybody suffers from. And
yeah.
yeah, so that was it.
Well, okay, so when you talk about chi, if people don't know what chi is, can you explain to the listeners like what is chi when you said that they had such control over their chi? Like what does that mean?
Well, in Chinese, they call it qi. In different, places, they call it different things. But in Indonesian, they call it tenaga dalam or inner power. And in essence, it's we are an electric being. They measure our heartbeat, our brain waves with electricity. And when we are healthy, we're basically generating enough electricity to help the cells reproduce and then eliminate waste and do all the things they need to do in the right order. But when we get lower electricity or bioelectricity in our body, then it's like running on a flat tire or having something that needs to be, an oil change, but it's grinding in there and it doesn't have what it needs. Our bodies are like the ultimate technology. We have so many miracles happening. I mean, just like in our
Yeah.
pinky, there's more connections than like the government computers that run the NORAD missile silos to defend our country. And every one of us has them, you know? It's like if we can just give the body what it needs, it knows how to take care of itself. And chi or life force or bioelectricity or orgone or prana or tanagadalam is the source of that. We're an electric being. And what we're doing is we're feeding ourselves, we're breathing, we're doing different things to try to create more electricity to be able to do that. And it's in perfect balance that the more electricity we create, the more magnetism we get. And so we create these magnetic fields around us. And that's a lot of where, the law of attraction, manifestation, different things like that are going to come into play. But it all starts here. We have to tune our body. We are the instrument. We are the antenna. And
Yeah.
as we are able to hit brainwave states that are like off the charts in a really fast, quick way, we're able to put these two together. And when we do that, that's where we really find our ultimate power, which is our whole being, not just our physical, our 3D, our logical point, or our artistic, creative, uh, downloading from, wherever the field or quantum or whatever you want to call it. We can literally put one foot in the 3D and one foot in the 5D because we have a left and a right brain. They're supposed to work together. So we can generate more energy and we can use the energy to do the things that we desire and I guess I should say find what our calling, our path, our purpose through our life is faster and faster and enjoy the process because it kind of sucks to get a flat tire. Nobody likes them. But when you're running a race car, it's like fun.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. All right. So, how does one develop more chi, more life force in their life, more of that energy that we have within us? I heard you say about brainwaves, so that immediately makes me think about meditation. And then you talk about the sixth sense that we all have. And I'm wondering, does that have anything to do with increasing our vital force, our chi? And if you could explain, how can we do that? And what is the sixth sense that you share with people?
Absolutely. Well, you're right on the head of the nail. Anna Marie, you are right there. I mean, we call it the sixth sense, but we're actually born with it. We kind of come in with very dull five senses. Like our eyes don't really work. They need time for the muscles to flex. Our ears, we're afraid of loud noises, but not a whole lot else. Our sensitivity, our coordination, our taste, all these different senses that we define as our gateways to the world are not fully developed. But our connection to our environment through our what we call sixth sense, but it's actually our first sense. It's what we're born with. I'm not quite sure if you've had or anyone out there that's had experience with babies, but a lot of times I notice that babies don't like to go to certain people.
Yeah. It's
They
like
get
animals too.
just like animals. I mean, they
Yeah.
can see mom or dad across the room. They can feel who they're
Yeah.
comfortable with, and they can feel the people they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And we're born with this as our gateway for survival, and then the other five senses develop around it, and we forget it. It's tuned out. We're trained not to pay attention to it anymore. But this is all based on that electricity and magnetism, that energy that we have going through us. That we're always connected to the field of energy that, all matter, all 3D matter is all made of atoms. And we know that every atom is cycling and vibrating. It has protons, neutrons, and electrons that are doing the thing, and they're all putting off a frequency, even at absolute zero. If you go down to 0 Kelvin, like the coldest imaginable, they
Yeah.
say it's supposed to stop, but it doesn't. It's still moving. It's still doing. There's something going on there that we can perceive. Like when you walk in, with sixth sense, maybe you've experienced walking in and you can feel that somebody's in a bad mood, even though, you can't see anything, you can't hear anything, but you can feel there's vibes,
Yeah.
something is telling you, or
It's annoying.
maybe, have you ever felt somebody looking at you?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, it's like it's that knowing. I think it's that knowing that we're born with, that it beats us out over time with, like, society because, like, it's like I mean, as a woman, I think too, like, being a mom, it's like we second guess ourselves all the time when really if we get quiet and we get still, it's like the
Mm,
answer is just right there. It's usually right in my, like, solar plexus or right in my gut.
yes,
Um,
absolutely. You got it. You're
yeah.
born with it, and I gotta say, I heard once in a movie, and I absolutely subscribe to this, that mother is the word for God on the lips and hearts of all children. So thank you for doing what you're doing. You are tuned in at a level that it's not just natural talent, it is training because you have the hardest job ever. The second this happens, I mean, I guess I should say we're all here because of you. Thank you for doing that. And uh, it's not specifically, I guess I should say, has to be either or. Everybody has this connection. We're all born with it, but with the right training, we understand this is a technology, it's a science, and we can tune it. And so, to try to circle back around and answer all your questions, because I seriously could go down every rabbit hole for like an hour. And thank you for making this so much fun. But it's pretty simple. Basically, we're a biological machine that generates electricity, and through breathing exercises, very special exercises that the royal family figured out 500 years ago, and then passed down within their family, just from the king to the heir for 11 generations. They kind of figured out the shortcuts and the cheat codes, and just like a piece of technology, like your phone, if you push the buttons in the right order, you
Yeah.
get a shortcut or a widget or whatever you want to call it, and you get all the magic that you want very quickly. And then the meditations are literally developed to be fast and fun. We figured out that meditation is really the process. When we look at the technology, it's a process of dropping the brain waves into those states that we were at when we were younger, where our brain couldn't function that fast. And as we got older and our brain started functioning faster, we literally grew up out of this connection,
Mm.
but we still have the ability to instantly go back down and then catapult up way above where our normal adult waking mind, our high beta brain waves, can even function. Everything above that is considered gamma, and it's hyper consciousness. And if we do it in the right way, it's like, bending your knees so you could jump really high, and we can catapult very quickly and get access to that energy that's being put off by all of the physical things and the non-physical things. Because, well, I don't know if you've ever experienced this one with your children also, but the ability to feel other people's emotions, energies, emotions, and
Every day of my life, every client I see, it's weird.
well, that's amazing. But I don't know, maybe you've also experienced this. Sometimes it can become like a curse or a burden.
Yeah.
You don't know how to
Uh-huh.
control it.
Yes.
It's like, if you could instantly be psychic and hear everyone's thoughts, well,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. But if you were like, you couldn't turn it off, that would like be terrible.
Yeah. One time, my daughter was, oh gosh, she was probably 3 years old, and my son was 5, and my husband was out of town, and I was gonna go for a walk, and just in my neighborhood. And I went with a friend and left my kids were still sleeping at the house, and I didn't have, like, the monitor where you can watch your kid, and I'm not, like, a super helicopter parent, so you would think, like, "Wow, a 3 and a 5-year-old, who would leave them home alone?" Well, I would, to walk around my neighborhood within, like, you know, a quarter mile of them or whatever. Anyways, we were walking down the street, and I just had this vision come to me of my daughter walking down our steps we have a two-story house, and I told her, I said, "Oh, I gotta get back to the house, I think my daughter's up." Literally, I opened the door, and then here she is walking down the steps. "Hi, mom." Anyway, like, just, like, little things, like, I'll get these little, like, images that, like, are imprints, or just, like, these knowings that happen, and I think that, and especially, like, with my children and my daughter particularly, there's a connection there that is unexplainable, where I can feel what she's feeling to the degree.
Have Have you ever heard of entanglement?
Oh, yes. Quantum entanglement?
So, if they can take a blood cell from you and
Yes.
put it in a different country on a different continent and hook it
Mm,
up to the EEG and notice that the electricity in it changes at the same time yours does all the way around the planet, and I think about every blood cell in your babies coming from you.
mhm.
That's truly the most magnificent connection I could ever ask for. And I don't know if you're familiar with the telepathy tapes that have been coming out recently,
Yes.
but so many of those children with that incredible amount of tuning, they can only do it with their mom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
It is, yeah. Well, so what we're really doing here, I mean, if I could look at it as a overall, this technology that the royal family figured out, and then I've been working on making in a way that the Western mind can understand, and making it fast and fun, so we all want to do it, and it's not like go to a cave or a monastery for 30 years. It basically, well, it's like a jet engine and a turbocharger for that whole system. It's gonna skyrocket all of those signals because we tune the antenna, and when we do these special exercises, it's like in 5 minutes doing them, we can get a better result to your body and your mind, so physiologic and, mental integration than 45 minutes of doing any other type of warm up. That's why they use it in the military, because it's unbelievable. It creates super soldiers for them, and then they use them for National Guard and helping their country. But um, what we basically do is we create more electricity, and then we connect it with the brain with those brain waves. And so, if I could say, this thing that you're experiencing, you could call it instinct or intuition. It's what the babies have and what the animals still have. This connection to
Mhm.
the environment that you don't know how you know, but you know.
Mhm.
And you know, you could call it a hunch or a gut feeling, or know it in your heart or feel it in your bones, whatever it is. We have access to this amazing information field. It's like we're connected to Google all the time. We just didn't know we could type or voice text and say, "Hey Siri, what is this?"
Yeah.
And by doing this, basically, we can overcome the five senses and open up the true sense that we came in with. And that's, I mean, we literally could teach people how to read, how to write, how to shoot targets, how to drive, how to do all kinds of things. I don't know. I think my team sent over a little video that'll give you a quick idea of some of the things that we can do with this energy. But it's like taking this thing that has been talked about for millennia, and there's legends and there's isolated cases, but then literally pulling it under the microscope and saying, "Oh, this is how it works," and boom, go. Now we can duplicate. Now we can scale and help more people and change everyone on a mass scale. The I guess I should say, the gift that we were given that we didn't know we had. This this treasure that is with us every day of our life starts to become so refined that you can see without your eyes. You can heal other people. You can protect your own body or heal your own body. There's so many superpowers that we're just like scratching the surface of, because now we could get more people doing it. And the more people that do it, the faster it will evolve, because we're all so talented and we're like on the planet at the best time in human history to explore these talents. I mean, we don't have to spend so much time just trying to survive anymore. And just
Yeah.
now we can examine these connections and this infinite love potential that we have to give to others. And I'm yeah, I'm super stoked for what's coming. There's a lot. I mean, we got aliens and AI, and now we're uh there's going to be the first psychic Olympics ever held in August in Virginia. It's called the Psy Games. We're going to be a big part of that. We've got so many things to change the way that the division that's been done between science and spirit, that they've always been at odds. Now we can really start saying, "Hey, wait, we can love more and we can have more, we can give more, and the cycle will continue." That all of this is right here, right in front of our face. It's right under our nose. We just never looked.
Okay, so people are wondering, well, what the heck do they have to do? Like, what do you do to develop this? Like, we're talking about all this stuff as if they already know.
Oh,
Well, what do they
wow.
do?
I would love to share with everybody. I've been working very diligently on trying to make this available to everybody. So actually, I created a kind of an entry gateway online program that you can do from the comfort of your own home, or we have live in person events that are absolutely incredible. We call them immersions because we do them, 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, depending on the day. But you're like fully immersed in it, and I can literally put 20 years of the traditional path into 5 days. And now I'm making a 2 day that I tried it once and I had 95% of the participants were able to find targets, like feel their environment and find targets after 2 days. And they're incredibly fun. Like we create a bubble in an environment that is like well, I guess I say it's so much fun it should be illegal, but it's not yet. So we're gonna keep rolling them. So we have a huge facility here in Utah. We're gonna start doing some out of state and doing some different locations. We've tried some in Miami and Austin, and we're gonna start doing some other things. But what I would say right now, we're really trying to use the playground that we have. We have these immersive events that we'd love to have everybody invite everybody to our home because we have the full built out, huge school that has all the toys and all the things. Or you can go right to the website, and if that's not doable for you right now, you can start in the comfort of your own home at your own pace. And there's basically, I go through and I break down, hey, this is the mind stuff, this is the body stuff, and this is the spirit stuff, and this is how you put them all together. It's a science that, like the phone, if you push the power button, then you can go to the App Store or the Play Store, then you can get the app, then you can play whatever you want. You just have to push the buttons in the right order.
Awesome. So you're really just delivering this ancient technology to the average person in a digestible way that hasn't really been done in this country before.
Well, yes, I mean, in Indonesia, they released all of this, the martial art in the mid 60s. There was a huge civil war, and the military overthrew the government. They killed 500,000 people in the streets over 6 months. And at that time, the 11th generation heirs, they weren't in power anymore. This was communists and socialists that were having the war. But uh, they saw the secret that they had could totally change the political and social landscape that they were living in, where there was all this literally crazy war going on around them. And if their people could see what they could see and feel what they could feel, it would change the entire structure. And it did actually. They released it, and within 3 years, it had over 1 million members. It's now considered a cultural heritage and a national treasure, and it's used by every branch of the military, even the special forces, the Secret Service, private security, police forces, all the things. It's like they teach it in grade school. Everybody in Indonesia knows about it, but I'm the first outsider. My brother and I, we were the very first outsiders to ever learn, and I was actually adopted into the royal family. But I had to do the traditional path, and it was really, really challenging because you had to do all the hard martial art, crazy training stuff, and you had to do the warrior path before you ever got to the wizard path. But I promised to the royal family that I would help them share this with the world because it was a gift for humanity. And when they released it, it totally changed their country. And now it's time to give it to the world. But in order to do that, I had to kind of change it. And I switched and I put the wizard's path first. Anybody that wants to do the warrior path can. But what the world really needs right now, we need to be tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to our connection at a higher level if we want to fix today's problems. It's not just about being a warrior, it's about being a wizard or a wizardess. I guess I like to make up
Mhm.
words and knowing ourselves and our connection. So yes, I'm the only person in history that's ever been adopted into the royal family and the only one that's ever been given permission to change the traditional system to fit the modern world. Uh, so I'm delivering the ancient secret technology, but I'm doing it in a way that's fast and fun, and we as Westerners can adapt and live. So it's not just a novelty or something that we experienced as, oh, hey, this is a cool thing. But no, we can literally integrate this. And I have a whole lot of, very, very successful business people that end up coming because they've conquered the 3D and now they're looking for their spiritual connection. And this is something that they basically say there's life before vibrovision and life after vibrovision. Because after they get this, they're able to make business decisions in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And 100% accuracy because we literally are tuning their intuition and giving them a feedback generator. So when they get those intuitions, those things, those knowings, they can do it 100 times in a row, and there's no consequence. It's only success and learning what the difference in the signal that we're listening to is. So we're putting a science to that spirit, if you will, and that's kind of the goal here. Is not everybody wants to do the traditional path. That is very, very challenging. How can we make it so it works in today's day and age, and it can be applicable to your relationships, to your business, your every aspect of your personal and professional lives? It changes everything.
So who is I mean, I know you could say this is for everybody, but if someone's listening and like, why would I even like why? Like what how could this change someone's life and who is this ideal for?
Anna Marie, that is such a wonderful question. I got to tell you, in 25 years, I still haven't figured it out because it like helps everybody. I used to describe it as like being Pepto Bismol, but for life. Pepto Bismol commercial. It's like, hey, if you have an upset stomach or indigestion, go through this whole list, drink the pink stuff. This is kind of like that. But in a nutshell, I would say if you're stressed out and you want to connect back to source, you want to feel your center again. If you're in pain or you're already an athlete and you want to either heal yourself or superpower yourself, you want to take your body to places that it's never been. You want to feel younger and younger every single day. If you're looking for your spiritual path and you're really, hey, I'm searching, I know that there's more. I can feel that there's this connection. Sometimes I pick up the phone when somebody's calling me because I was just thinking about them. Sometimes I see this or I do this or I know things without knowing it. This literally is for everybody. But I would say the primary, if you have anything going on that you want to be more improved in your mind, this is going to show you how to literally sharpen your mind, change your focus, and superpower your brain capacity. If you're looking for something in your body, this is going to fix it up or take it to a whole nother level. If you're looking for your spirit, if you get rid of the distractions in your body and your mind, that's where the spiritual gateway opens. There's a lot to be said for that, and I hope that helps. I feel like mothers are a huge part of this because when you're tuned into your kids, it seems like the rest of the world changes around them. Um, Business people, you want to really know who you are and what you're doing and where your path lies, and just everyday people. I feel like it's for everybody.
I love that. Well, where can everyone get in touch with you, Mike, and connect with your work?
Well, we are just launching new websites, but our website address is vibrovision.com. That's VIBRA, like vibration, Vibra, and then vision, VISION.com. And there's all kinds of different specials and different things, and so many amazing things to explore on that site. I definitely hope everybody enjoys it. We're just updating it. It's going to be even better, but right now I think that'll be just great.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.